Welcome to the Mold Matters Podcast. Whether you are looking for help recovering from mold illness or just want to learn more about creating a safe environment for your family, this podcast is the place for you.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Mold Matters Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Evans, alongside co-host Mike Adams.
Hi, Jer.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
You know, when we do a lot of these in the same day,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard on you.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It makes you tired.
It does.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. We're happy to be with you. We're going to talk today a little bit about furnace filters, HVAC filters. It's been a topic actually we've talking about for a while, and we actually have a decent list of topics we still need to cover, but this one has been one we wanted to cover for a while. We have talked about furnaces and HVAC units, I think, in passing, but I actually was thinking this before the podcast, Mike, because I think you've done a lot of mold and other maintenance work in your life, your previous career in the facility maintenance. How many furnace filters do you think you've handled in your life?
Oh, probably thousands. But you know, it's incredible how absolutely disgusting some filters are.
Oh,
I don't know why I thought about that when you said how many of you handled. My mind went immediately to all the ones that are just like, I feel like I need to put this in a bag before I even haul it through a house. You know?
Yeah. In fact, I think that's actually a good way to dispose of it instead of dragging
it. It really is, yeah.
I think that's probably the preferred way, is put it in a garbage pan bag and take it out the house.
But it's amazing how bad they can get. And every house, it seems like every house is a little bit different. Some houses don't get nearly as dusty as others, and I'm not sure why that is. But
yeah, I'll show up to people's houses and sometimes they'll say, you know, my previous house wasn't this way, but in this house, every month I pull it out and it looks like we've had a construction site in our house. Yeah. And I think there's some reasons for that, but sometimes I don't know. Where you live is part to do with it. I remember one house was kind of in the desert and it was really dusty around their house. They had no neighbors, just dirt.
Yeah.
But
or I'm even thinking like parts of South Weber here in Utah.
Oh yeah.
Where it's
windy.
Just windy all the time.
Yeah.
Their windowsills are constantly full of dust.
Yeah.
And dirt, and I'm sure that goes through the filters as well. But
yeah. So we're going to talk about filters and HVACs in general, and kind of, since we just went right into this topic, I get asked a lot, how often do I change my furnace filter? And we kind of already answered it with that example. We'll give you some general rules, but it kind of depends.
It really does. It absolutely depends. But I will say this: very few people are disciplined enough to do it as often as they would like to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see it all the time where people think, yeah, I should have just about a brand new filter in there. It seems like I just did it.
Yeah.
And you go pull it, and they've written the date on it, and it was like 9 months ago.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Well, and no matter what mode of mold remediation you're doing, a furnace filter should be something that's on your mind, and that should be, when a mold is present, should be chucked and changed frequently.
Yeah.
And so I look at a lot of furnace filters as well, and I can't tell you how often I'll go pull out a furnace filter and someone says, "Oh yeah, I've
been meaning to do that.
Been meaning to do that.
Dug on it."
And then I lecture them.
These last 5 years, it just slipped away.
And then I lecture them, and then I go home and realize I haven't done it.
Yeah.
So there's that
exactly
too.
Right.
But anyways, furnace filters. I like to talk about them. There's a lot of people ask us questions, and you know, what are good ones? How often should I change them? So hopefully we're going to answer some of these questions. And many of you have heard of the MERV rating system. It's kind of the most common rating system for filters. Now, what do I mean by rating system? And that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
You think like rating, oh, it's a
really good one, or that's a crappy one.
Yeah, like Google ratings, like a 5-star versus a 4-star. If it was a 4-star, you'd probably buy it. You probably
no, Jeremy. We talked about this. Yeah, 3-star is where I'm happy. That's my happy place.
Yeah,
because 4-star with lots of ratings just means they're playing with the system.
Yeah, they're
Your best products are about 2.9 stars.
Yeah.
In fact, that thing I bought Tony, my wife, for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
It just died on us last week. That was my 2.9 rating.
I'm not surprised.
So maybe don't listen to me for advice.
So MERV isn't quite like Google ratings. It's not. It's really what it's trying to tell you. And I always forget the acronym, Mike. Did you remember the acronym? Minimum.
Is it efficiency
rating
value?
Minimum efficiency reporting value.
Reporting value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, that doesn't really matter what it stands for. You'll see it when you go buy furnace filters at different stores. You'll see MERV. The other ones you'll see, and I think Lowe's actually carries the 3M brand, which is you'll see an MPR rating.
Mm-hmm. So think of M as 3M.
3M.
That's the 3M filter.
Well, let me back up.
Okay.
ASHRAE.
Uh-huh.
Many have heard of ASHRAE. It's kind of
it's like a lot of times in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, not so much anymore because you can't smoke in restaurants.
Yeah.
But they used to have ashtrays on every table.
Flick your cigarette butts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So everyone knows ASHRAE.
Everybody knows what an ashtray is.
American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers. So it's this group. They do seminars and conventions every year and trying to come out with the best way to ventilate homes and heat homes and stuff like that. But they're the ones that created the MERV rating. And we kind of hypothesized about this. I'm pretty sure 3M came along and said, I want to get in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a rating system, the MPR.
They probably said, the MERV system doesn't make sense. Let's do our own.
Yeah.
Actually, Jeremy has absolutely the best idea for rating, but we're late to the game.
Yeah.
But they should rate them based on the size of particulate that they will filter.
Yeah. Yeah, because really, MERV is 1 through like 16 or 20.
Right.
And it doesn't correlate in any degree with
0 or even 0.1 micron to 40 micron.
Yeah.
It should, if you can filter 10 microns or less, you should be a 10.
Yeah, you should just call that a filter 10.
That should be a Jeremy 10.
Jeremy 10. If it's 3, it should be a 3.
Jeremy
Even
3,
if it was a 0.1, let's call that a 0.1 filter.
Right.
Yeah. So they, instead of doing that, the MERV rating does filter according to what size it filters, but it just came up with a numbering system. So 1 actually filters the least amount, the largest particles, and then up to 16 and 20, that's going to do your fine particulates.
Right.
Like even down to smoke and
even clean room type filtration.
Like your hospitals.
Right.
I don't know. When you were doing, I guess you didn't deal with well,
I did a little bit. Yeah.
Did you guys do some of the high MERV rating filters?
Yeah. Yeah. We actually did. And what is a little bit alarming is that clean rooms, like manufacturing clean rooms, are required to filter at a much higher rate than what a medical facility or an operating facility.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That seems a little backwards.
It does. Yeah. Clean rooms are way cleaner than a medical facility.
That's why they call them clean rooms.
I guess so. Yeah. They ought to do surgery in a clean room.
They really ought to.
Yeah.
There's one other rating system, FPR. And I actually, because before we were talking about this, and I was like, I've seen something at Home Depot that
called FPR.
Yeah. They weren't using MERV and they weren't using the 3M. And anyways, we kind of recalled it's the FPR. And I don't know a good way to remember that.
Yes, I do. Yeah. Fred purchases ridiculous items because he thinks he can fix it himself.
Oh, okay.
Fred purchases ridiculous. FPR.
FPR. Okay. Yeah. FPR. I thought of FDR. Doesn't really work. Yeah. But FPR. So if you go to Home Depot, again, that's their brand they came up with after the MERV rating. So
most of their customers coincidentally are named Fred.
Yeah.
Seemingly.
Yeah, that's true. So MERV, MPR, FDR, and
no, FPR.
Yeah, FBR. FPR, sorry.
Yeah. So if we haven't got you confused already.
I know. The acronyms don't matter, but if you're really interested in, I'm going to go with MERVs, you're going to want to look some of this up online, but this is kind of an introduction to this. MERV and FPR, the Home Depot brand, they're doing the same thing. Their rating is based on what size of particulate they're going to filter out. Now the MPR, the 3M does a little bit differently, and I didn't know this until we kind of researched it a little bit, but it filters, and I'm going to have to get this to remember. Yeah, the 3M does, help me out. I think it's 0.3. Yeah.
It was right.
Did I just have it?
I thought you did. Maybe not.
Okay, 0.3 to 1 micron. So the NPR, all their filters, all their rating system does is tell you how well does it filter particulates from 0.3 to 1 micron in size.
So I think what they're saying is that, of course, we're going to filter anything bigger than 1 micron.
Yeah.
So the real rating should be this small little window of 0.3 to 1.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The higher the rating, the better it's filtering that smaller. I guess they're just thinking this is a critical, range to filter. We're just concerned with that and that only, and then you kind of make some inferences like you did, but that seems a little complicated. I like the idea of just particle size. We're filtering down to 10 microns, down to 3 microns, down to.
Yeah. The nice thing is that most hardware stores, they'll have a graphic that will show you, like, okay, if you get a MERV 8, this is what you're filtering. If you get a MERV 6, this is what you're filtering.
Yeah. So in short, and a MERV 6 is kind of your most basic.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any.
Well, so we were talking about it. If you buy a MERV 6, you've got an okay house. It's nothing that you want to bring your friends over to.
Yeah.
You're probably just in college or something. It's a rental house or something.
Yeah.
It's just you sleep there every night and it's nothing to write home about.
Yeah.
That's your basic MERV 6 candidate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it your Toyota Corolla?
Not quite that nice.
Even less nice?
Yeah. Your late model Toyota Corolla.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a 10-year-old Toyota Corolla.
It's a Datsun.
Datsun. Okay. Let's go up a couple. MERV 8.
MERV 8. Now that's a nicer home. You're happy to have your close friends over.
Okay.
play some games and yeah.
You don't mind having them in the house?
No, you don't want to have like the entire graduating class come over.
Yeah.
But your closest friends, yeah.
Okay.
Welcome.
Okay. Maybe
come check out my MERV 8 filter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Would that be a Chevy Malibu? Maybe.
Yes, that's a good way to look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just made that up.
Yeah, that was.
Let's go to a
good.
MERV
Yeah.
11.
MERV 11. Now you're talking. This is a nice house.
Okay.
Now you can have the entire graduating class over.
Mm-hmm.
You're proud to show off the house.
Okay.
You might have the latest of all the appliances in the house.
We could even record a podcast in that kind of house.
Yeah,
nice,
we could. Yeah.
Clean setting.
Yeah, that's a nice house.
And then MERV 13.
MERV 13 is that house is so nice that you don't want anybody to come in anymore.
Oh.
just it's a showpiece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you think in terms of what we know about the size of different things, this MERV 6 that you were talking about, this kind of older car, whatever.
Not great.
Not as great. It's going to filter the basic pollen and some dust. That's kind of like that's its line of defense, which is important. The MERV 8 starts to get into some of the molds. Most molds fall between 3 and 10 microns. Mm-hmm. So the MERV 8 gets down to 3 microns. And then you get to the MERV 11, and then that gets into the smoke and the gas, more gaseous stuff. MERV 13, supposedly virus and those really fine particulates.
Yeah. So this is what's crazy, Jeremy, is that over the years I've studied this. Like a MERV 6, your cheaper rental home filter.
Yeah.
That will, all of them will do this, but let's talk about a MERV 6. A MERV 6 will actually get better as time goes by.
Yeah.
Because you're adding more and more dust and debris into it. So it becomes a better filter than it was when it was brand new.
Yeah.
But you hit a point on every filter where it gets better. And now, oh shoot, I can't move enough air through here. Yeah. And now it's useless and you have to replace it. So filters they're tricky.
So what you're saying is as a filter gets dirty, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Not necessarily. Yeah. Now, if it gets dirty with mold and junk like that, I don't like that idea at all.
Right.
But in general, if it's just a dusty environment, the filtration gets better
Yeah.
as it goes until you hit a point where you just walk off the cliff, and now it's terrible.
Well, that's interesting because we use a lot of respirators that have these high tech, these really nice filters that do organic vapor. And, and as they get older, I do notice I can't breathe in as much air.
Yeah. It's not like they're not working anymore. You just can't pull as much air.
Yeah. I feel like I have to breathe harder to get the air in. Right. And I also, I think there's some truth to that. I feel like it's filtering much more.
Yeah.
But yes, on the reverse side of that coin, if you hit that point where you're not getting any air through,
now you're creating all kinds of problems downstream.
Talk about those.
So this particularly in high humidity areas that are warmer. I'm thinking like Florida, Louisiana, actually anywhere. But if you're limiting the amount of air that you can put through that system, as your coils condensate, trying to cool off the house, you're not moving enough air to dry off those coils. And if you can't move enough air, those coils will start to do a couple of things. One is they'll grow mold. The other is if it gets so bad that you've limited airflow, then they can actually start to freeze, and your entire system can shut down because you've created a block of ice down there on your where your coils
on
are.
The coils.
Yeah.
So where the moisture gets on the coils.
Condensates. Yeah.
Didn't you have that happen or something?
Yeah, we had a rental house, and I'll tell you about the rental house, and then we'll get away for a quick break here. But the rental house, they had tried a few different things to try to keep that place cool. It had a lot of western and southern exposed windows. The owners of the house just couldn't keep it cool, and they told us they'd tried a lot of things, and I think they ended up buying a way oversized air conditioner, thinking bigger is better.
Yeah.
And anyway, it would cool the house off so fast, then the system would shut off for a while, and so then you have your cold area gathering water, and nothing's getting dried off because the system shut off again. Anyway. Wasn't moving enough air to keep those dry, and you start building up ice like crazy. One day, all of a sudden, we're not getting any cool air at all. I went down to the furnace and took the cover off, and it was like a giant block of ice.
And this is in the summer?
Yeah, this was in
the summer.
The heat of the summer.
Turned to ice.
Yeah,
because it's making it cold so it can cool the air, but then there's no air coming through.
To keep it dry, and
so interesting.
So.
Okay, well, with that, let's take a quick commercial break in the mic that I want to ask you about that. So,
okay.
Did you know the levels of some hazardous pollutants in indoor air have been found to be up to 70 times greater than in outdoor air? But who's monitoring that for you? Check out mypureproducts.net for the latest in monitoring devices and DIY mold test kits. Take control of your environment with mypureproducts.net.
All right, we're back. And thanks for that.
You didn't think I could go get a hamburger and fries that fast, did you? That's pretty good.
No, you got a Red Bull.
Yeah.
So I was going to say that's just an interesting concept because you think of all the issues that people have. Again, you talked about some of these humid areas. Their big thing is keeping humidity down in the home. And so you'd think bigger. Let's get a bigger unit, and just make sure we never have an issue with humidity. So
that's what I would think if I didn't know better.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does.
But what you're saying is that could come back to bite you.
Yeah, it's critically important that your HVAC system is sized for the layout and the square footage of that house.
So if it's appropriately sized, it'll probably have a more constant flow of air across those coils.
Yeah.
But maybe not as much as, like you said, some massive HVAC unit.
Right. Yeah.
So slow and steady instead of.
Yeah. Think of the turtle and the rabbit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it a rabbit?
Tortoise and the hare?
Yeah. It wasn't a rabbit or a turtle.
Yeah.
It was a tortoise and a hare. Yeah.
That was interesting that you did that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an interesting concept. So yeah, I think, I guess the same thing goes true for, the question of so with the MERV rating, you did those wonderful examples, the nicer quote unquote better filters are the higher MERV rating.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing about those, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the interesting thing about those is that it's my opinion that those higher rated MERV are going to hit that cliff quicker than a lower rated MERV.
What do you mean by cliff?
Well, you know how I said they'll get better and better and better because they're getting more and more dirt on it, so it filters better up to a point.
Yeah.
And then you've hit a point where, okay, now it's clogged up so much that you're not moving any air.
Yeah.
I think if you buy a higher MERV rating to begin with, you're probably going to hit that point quicker because it's already letting less debris through.
Yeah.
To start with.
That's
not saying that that's not the right thing to do to get a higher MERV, but just be aware that you may have to replace that quicker than you would the cheap one.
Yeah. So if you're one of those people who knows you're going to forget to change your filter, in some ways you might be better off not getting the nicer filters.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get plugged up a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have all these issues that you've talked about.
Yeah. Consult with your local HVAC guy because we're good at mold.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want to get bad information, but everything I've experienced, it's in line with what we're saying, that filters get better as they go.
Yeah.
And then you hit a point where, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I'm restricting airflow.
Yeah. And in some ways, I almost err towards, let's make sure we have plenty of air coming through the filter so that we can have those coils cooled.
Yeah. I like what you did there. I almost err towards. Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't even notice that pun. Yeah. So with the higher MERV, you're going to have to change. So they're a little more expensive. And
Correct.
you're probably going to have to make sure you change them more often.
Correct.
So
but you'll have a cleaner home.
But you'll have a cleaner home.
Yeah.
So there's just understanding, like you're saying, understanding the cost reward.
And I think that kind of explains why a traditional, just like a student housing or a rental home or whatever, the property owner or the property manager are probably going to get the cheaper filters.
Yeah.
And they'll probably change them every 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's probably better than what. I mean, if they do that consistently, that's probably better than what most people do. Because, I mean, it is so easy to let the months slip by, and all of a sudden you've got a filter that's in there for 2 years, and just disgusting.
I know.
It is. I had one guy tell me once. He said it literally is the dirtiest place in your house is the filter.
Yeah,
and it makes sense.
Yeah. Now there's this concept out there that if you let your filters get really plugged up, or if you have the wrong filter, if you have a really intense, high MERV rating filter on, your standard home system, it could put strain on the HVAC system. Is that true or false? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I've thought about this for hours, believe it or not, over the years. In fact, I had a conversation with my dad a few years ago about this. I think it makes sense. I've come full circle on this. I used to say, no, I don't think that it puts more stress on the fan motor. I think it can make the entire system pull less air, which means it's going to take longer to cool off the house or to heat the house, which means it's going to have to work harder than it normally would.
Meaning harder, meaning longer?
Longer.
Like
work longer.
Yeah, which is harder, but...
Yeah, but you gave me an example of this piece of equipment we have that I think if you did limit the airflow going into it, it would bog down the fan a little bit. Yeah. So I think there might be some truth that it does work the fan harder. For years I couldn't figure out the physics of that.
Yeah.
But we know for sure that if you're not pulling enough air through the system, you're going to have to run it longer to cool off the house or to heat the house.
And to filter the air too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So instead of so just longer, maybe not harder, or maybe harder too. Who knows? But kind of it's imperative to change those filters.
Yeah, the whole thing is a balancing act.
Yeah.
Between I want to filter, but I don't want to limit airflow.
Yeah.
And so you have to find the sweet spot, and recognize that sweet spot's only going to last for about a month and a half. Yeah. And then you got to start over again.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about filter sizes, because not what what size of particles they filter, but actual sizes as far as thickness goes. Most commonly we see 1 inchers, and I guess 4 inchers. I don't see 2 inches, 3 inches.
Not very. I don't think I've ever seen a 3 incher.
I don't know if I ever have either.
Yeah.
Funny thing though, just last week I was at my wife's sister's house, and they pulled out their filter, and it said 5 incher. He said 16 by 20 by 5 or something. And I didn't think much of it. And then they texted me later that day, and they're like, we bought that size and it doesn't fit. And I got thinking, yeah, that wasn't a 5-incher. That was a 4-incher. I've never seen a 5-incher in my life.
Oh, really?
But it was actually a 4-incher, but had been mislabeled as a 5-incher.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
Wow.
So yeah, 4-incher.
That's probably worth some money. You know how, like, if they mess up
Oh yeah,
making a nickel or something, if the,
they do it wrong.
yeah, they should hang on to that filter. That thing's worth some money, man. Someday, somewhere.
Seriously. Yeah. So,
You know, I worry right now because our producer Nez didn't even smile at that.
yeah, she's kind of been
Nothing.
shaking her head a couple times. Anyway,
Yes. Yeah.
just kidding. So, I did want to talk about size because if you think about it, you know, these 4-inchers, kind of the main difference. I mean, they have the similar MERV rating, and
Yeah,
so
right.
so you might think to yourself, why a thicker filter? Why a 4-inch instead of a 1-inch if the
think-
rating's the same?
I think I can answer that.
Okay, yeah,
So, it literally is made out of the same material, and they're both single thickness, right? So nothing really changes as far as what's going to pass through them. What does change is the actual amount of surface area. The 4-incher has much, much more surface area. So I think what it does, it gives you more time during that sweet spot we talked about.
Yeah.
Before it gets clogged up when you go off the cliff.
yeah. So if you think like 1-inch,
Right.
unless you're watching, you won't be able to
Yeah.
see this. So theoretically, it has 4 times as much surface area. Am I wrong?
No, I think that's right.
If you go
yeah.
from 1 to 4-inch pleats,
Right. Yeah.
you know, you're having 3 more inches worth of pleats, which
Right.
is that surface area that you're talking about that's catching particulates. So theoretically, it might have.
I had one guy tell me once. He said, "You gotta try the 4-inch filters," and I said, "Oh, plates."
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Sorry about that.
that pretty much brought the home point that we
Yeah.
were trying to make.
Oh, pleats.
Yeah.
So
So,
anyway, I have one right here, Jared.
okay.
For those who are viewing, they're gonna laugh at this,
Yeah. So
but you can see a 1-incher just has that much surface area to collect stuff.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to the 4-incher, look how much deeper these pleats are.
yeah.
It's exactly the same material,
Yeah.
but it's way, way more. It may be even more than 4 times.
Yeah.
I don't know how that mathematically that works out, but
Yeah. That's interesting.
It's a ton of surface area
Yeah.
to collect more stuff.
A lot
And
more
so-
surface area.
So I think we talked about that sweet spot where, okay, it's used, but it's still working really, really well.
Yeah.
It just extends that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have your furnace will kind of dictate to a large degree whether you can use you
Right.
can use 4s or 1s. But
Yeah.
but if you're going to use 4s, you might get a little longer. You're going to pay more too.
Yeah, right.
So
About 4 times as much. Yeah.
so you can get 4 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is kind of this. Yeah.
It's just a balancing act.
It's a balancing act, and like you said early on in the podcast, it's not a bad idea. I mean, when you have your HVAC unit serviced, it's not a bad idea to talk to the guy and just
Yeah.
optimize. Like, hey, let's optimize as far as filters go. What's our best option for
Yeah.
clean air,
Yeah.
but optimizing our energy efficiency and making sure we don't mess up the coils.
Yeah.
You know, get anything.
You know, as part of when we go in and remediate a home, part of our process is we'll actually treat the filter. Hopefully they have a brand new filter for us, but we'll treat it with a it's kind of a microbiostatic,
Yeah.
and that makes that original MERV rating increase quite a bit.
Yeah. I was going to say, we do, we've even started or we kind of have a little side company that does filters. This wasn't planned, but we do Eternal filters, which are essentially MERV 8s that we pre-treat with a product.
Right. Think of like Dollar Shave Club.
Yeah.
It's like that for filters.
Yeah.
And so you just set up a subscription, and then you don't have to remember just every time one shows up at your door.
Well, that was the commercial ad we had earlier. mypureproducts.net.
Okay.
If you go there, there's a tab that says Eternal.
I missed it
Filters.
because I was grabbing my hamburger.
Click on Eternal Filters,
Okay.
and you can set up or build a box, which is building up basically making a subscription, and you can have those delivered to your doorstep every 3 months.
Yeah.
If you want it that way, or every month.
It's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And like I say, they've been treated by our
They've
process,
been treated, and
so-
then you won't forget, which is the main
Right.
key that people deal with is
Yeah.
remembering. So
Yeah.
I think that this has been a pretty good overview of filters. And have I missed anything, Mike?
I don't think you've missed anything.
Or you missed? Or
I
we
think
missed
you've hit the sweet spot on filters really
Yeah.
well, Jer.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I think we'll just end with that then, and just hope everyone remembers all of your acronym, things you help to remember the acronyms for the rating systems.
Yeah, Fred purchases ridiculous things at Home Depot.
Home Depot.
So
and-
that's FPR
yeah, and then MPR,
is 3M.
and then MERV. You didn't give us a MERV one.
No, I don't have a Merv one.
Oh, okay. Mervyn's? MERV? No.
There used to be a Mervin's here in town.
Thanks for listening to the Mold Matters podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more in-depth information on mold illness and recovery.